Our big story that we are tracking on India Global today, coming in from Bangladesh, the latest that's happening there. Well, the opposition party, that is the BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, is demanding immediate polls after Sheikh Hasina's ouster last month. Remember, on 5th of August is when Sheikh Hasina fled Bangladesh. And since then, while there is an interim government, there is no clear path as to when those elections will take place. Now, clamour grows for those much needed electoral framework and the democratic framework to be restored, even as there are now reports indicating that the Bangladesh army has been emboldened by Mohammed Yunus, and there are now efforts made to ensure that the Bangladesh army has more powers, whether it's policing or magistral powers, unlike what it had earlier. So what does this mean for Bangladesh? Where is it headed? At a time when there is clamour for elections and clamour for polls, the Bangladesh interim government is in fact moving towards providing greater policing powers to the army. All right, let's open this up. Let's get in Rumeen Farhana, who is former opposition leader of opposition of Bangladesh, and we also have Saleem Samad, senior journalist, Bangladesh. In fact, Rumeen, let me start with you, ma'am. Let me come to you first on this. Now, what is happening in Bangladesh? Two of these reports, they are very conflicting or counterintuitive, one would say. At a time when there is a groundswell for elections, the interim government is moving towards providing more police powers to the army, away from what many would say the democratic framework that is needed right now. How do you read this?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yesterday we had a big rally, and in that rally, our acting chairman, he addressed our party members, and he made it absolutely clear that this government cannot fail, because this is the government of the people and it came through revolution. So we have a very high expectation in this government, but at the same time, we cannot forget that whatever reforms we are talking about, whatever reforms the government is planning to do, it can best be done by someone who is elected by the people. So that is the reason we are asking for an election. But of course, we are not saying that election has to be given within 2 months or 3 months or something like that. But we need a time frame. We need a roadmap to know what this government is actually planning to do. Because in last 15 years, we were under such an autocrat government that all our institutions, including the Election Commission, the judiciary, all has become so
But Ms. Farhana,
partisan.
then are you upset? Are you upset with Mohammed Yunus's government that elections are not happening? Are you disappointed?
No.
Are
We
you
are
upset?
not upset. No, not at all. We are not upset. What we are trying to say is a roadmap would make it more clear. For example, if they say that we have this plan as our short-term plan, our mid-term plan, and our long-term plan, then I think the confusions will be
Then let me
deleted
ask you
from
this,
the
ma'am.
scene.
How long are you open to waiting for elections to be restored? How long do you think BNP and the BNP cadre, which is seeking an early election, open to waiting for as and when elections take place?
Reasonable reforms has to be done. For example, our election commission, there is no election commission in Bangladesh now. So we need an election commission for holding a free, fair, inclusive one. We need an administration which is neutral and which will give all the parties equal opportunity to work for the election. So these reforms need to be done before election. But at the same time, we are saying that there cannot be an infinite period given to this government. I mean, that's why I was talking about this long-term, short-term, and mid-term plan.
Ms. Farhana, would you be okay with an election not happening maybe in the next 1 year, 2 years, even longer? Because some of the reforms that the government is talking about may not happen overnight. So is the BNP willing to wait for, let's say, a couple of years for democracy to be restored?
Of course, we understand that the reforms that we are talking about cannot be taken place overnight. But that doesn't mean that it will take, more than a year. I think the reasonable time could be 6 months to 1 year max, because you need to reset the administration. You need to, bring the neutral and honest officers in the administration and police. You need to constitute an election commission, and I think after that you can go for election, and other reforms can be done by someone who has been elected by the people.
That's a very important point that you're making, which is that 6 months, at best a year, is the maximum that the BNP, the cadre, or in fact the people would wait before elections, or by when elections must happen, democracy must be restored. Let me take a quick reaction from Saleem. Ms. Farhana, I come back to you because I want to ask you about the fact that while on one end, the revolution, the protest, the groundswell was actually amongst the people, the students, but they don't seem to find a reflection in the government or the decision making. Okay, let's also keep Ms. Farhana in the frame. Saleem, explain to us is there a backlash that the government is facing by giving additional powers of policing and magistral powers to the Bangladesh army? How are the people reacting to it? Because are they in favor of this kind of a change happening? Is this what the protest and the revolution was all about?
Thank you for having me, and good evening. First of all, it is very important to understand the situation. 60% of the police have not reported. They are either hiding or they have fled, and some of them has been accused for shot and killed the students. So that number is of course very, very less than supposed to be. First of all, it is the military has to step in. For you have to have must have heard that all the police stations have been vandalized and the weapons have been stolen. So the government doesn't know who has stolen the weapons and where are the weapons. So there is a crackdown. So this is one area. And of course, you will be understanding that there is a vacuum. Vacuum means wherever the previous autocratic regime, the Awami League, has been
Okay,
extortion.
I think that now regime is history. We should now look forward and talk more about the future of Bangladesh rather than talking about Sheikh Hasina. And Ms. Farhana, let me ask you this question as well, that the additional powers that have been given to the Bangladesh army, it is meant to ensure that violence is curtailed and contained. But how are the people reacting to it? Because, the protest, the revolution, I'm sure that they did not ask for more powers to be given to the Bangladesh army. They wanted a greater say in their democratic decision making and not having a more powerful Bangladesh army.
One thing I think it should be very clear at the first sight, because this power is already there in CRPC. So it's nothing new. We have seen that during election time, this kind of power has been given to army in order to, execute a free and violence-less election. So the situation, if we see on the ground, you can see that the stability, the law and order situation, it's not up to the mark, because as my friend was saying that 60% of the police, they are still hesitant to join in their work. So in order to in order to settle this law and order situation, and as well as in order to bring back the stability, this kind of power, I think, will assist the government to achieve the goal.
But Ms. Farhana, then it brings me to ask you this fact that what is the reason for normalcy not being restored? Because 5th of August now seems fairly far back in time now. Things are pretty much working towards normalcy. There is also now global aid, international aid that's coming in. There's talk of restoration of better ties with neighbors. All that is happening. So why is it that Bangladesh's internal dynamics are not coming close to normalcy? And why is it that the local police and local administration work is also now being handed over to the army?
Okay. I'm sorry, but I can't help myself mentioning the name of Sheikh Hasina again. If you can remember, in 1991, when she was in the opposition, she publicly declared that I will not let this government run smoothly even for a day. And now she has been ousted from the country. She has taken refuge to India. And now we have seen the unrest that is going on from day one. We have seen the answers. They are trying to do some, coup or something like that. We have faced the unrest in industrial area like Shavar, Ashulia every day. We have seen the police is not working either because of fear or because they are not willing to cooperate the government. So this is the situation. This is the reality now. So I think people are happy as long as the law and order situation is okay, as long as the stability is there. People doesn't have any problem with this army being given some extra power.
Okay, so then can I say this, and then I ask this to Saleem as well, which is that the people are not afraid at all that Bangladesh may possibly inch towards a police state given the extra powers being handed over to the Bangladesh army?
Not at all. Bangladesh was a police state till 5th August 2024, but after that, Bangladesh is no longer a police state.
Okay, okay. Saleem, respond to that as well.
Bangladesh was always a police state. I mean, if you are talking about there are different regimes who are in power. But what I am trying to tell you that in 2002, the BNP government had deployed military for anti-crime operation, and of course, let's not discuss about what happened. So that is another issue. So this is the different regime has deployed military for law and order situation. So I don't think that it will be very different from the previous government's previous deployment of military for the law and order situation.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up, but final word, Ms. Farhana, running out of time quickly, which is that what would be your wish list from Mohammed Yunus's government? Because you said you want elections probably max in a year, but in the interim, what would be that one reform that you would want the government to implement that could pave the way for elections to take place?
The reform of the Election Commission, the reform of the judiciary, the reform of the administration. These three sectors have suffered the most, and I hope that this new government, this interim government, will help to build these three institutions in this short time.
All right, that's quite a bucket list. Let's see how much of that gets implemented in the time frame that we are looking at. But appreciate Rumeen Farhana for you to join me on this India Global edition, and also Saleem Samad.